Hello and welcome, I'm your host KB, and for today's episode of KB's Thoughts, I'm going to give you my thoughts on the newly released Magic School Bus Rides Again, which has just been released on Netflix. Let me start off by saying, as a kid and still to this day, I'm a big fan of the Magic School Bus property. At school as a kid, I played the educational PC games, and I loved watching the animated series. I don't want to discuss the original series here because that's actually a property I really want to cover in a future retrospective episode. Interesting story about the original series, however. I woke up one morning to record it, as I happened to do with shows I liked as a kid, only to discover it had been replaced by the New Zealand premiere at the time of Pokemon, which went on to be another massive obsession of mine as a kid. The release of this show came as quite a surprise to me. I had heard rumours a year or two ago about them releasing a new Magic School Bus series on Netflix, but I didn't keep up to date with the latest news on the project, so I woke up the other morning to find that it had been released on Netflix. So it was a huge surprise, and I'm really stoked that it's finally out. What surprised me most about this series is rather than being a reboot, this show is actually a continuation of the previous series. The show takes place during the following school year, so there are some changes. The biggest change is the replacement of the original Miss Frizzle, voiced by Lily Tomlin. Valerie is now a research professor who goes by Professor Frizzle, and we find out she has relinquished her role of teacher to her younger sister, Fiona Frizzle, aka the new Miss Frizzle. This change is handled quite well, with the first episode acting as sort of a passing of the torch. Professor Frizzle does stay on to replace the original series producer role, which was voiced by Malcolm Jamal Warner, and I liked that they kept this aspect of the show, as I always enjoyed how the professor would explain away some of the liberties that the show took with the subject matter in order to keep the story flowing. The new Miss Frizzle, voiced by Kate McKinnon, is a great replacement. She's the energetic and quirky teacher character that we expect, but shows a vulnerability in the sense that she doesn't always know exactly what to do. All the classmates we know and love return here, with the exception of Phoebe, which we find out has returned to her old school, which I thought was a nice little touch. She's replaced by the new girl and tech whiz, Jyoti. Most of the characters feel familiar, such as Carlos with his constant puns and Arnold with his constant worrying. Wanda is the most noticeable change personality-wise, as instead of being a competitive showboat, here she's more of a compassionate animal lover. There are some cosmetic changes though, as the characters' looks have been modernized, with Arnold and Tim having the most drastic makeovers. Animation-wise, I don't feel it's as charming as the original show, but that could just be my preference for traditional cell animation. That said, it is still very nicely done, and I love the new take on the original intro. Like the DuckTales reboot, we are treated to an updated version of the original theme song. I really loved the original theme song, but this is a very decent cover. Story-wise, the show is dead on with regards to feeling like the original show. Each character gets their own focused storylines, which helps propel them into the various adventures where the learning begins. Like the original show, the educational aspects of it feel natural and enjoyable, so the show feels organic. I haven't finished the 13 episodes yet, but the one critique I would make about the series is that I feel the bus is less of a character than in the original series. While understandably it's just a bus, albeit a magic bus, it's the show's namesake, but it feels like more of a prop here rather than the beloved bus from the previous incarnation. Overall, I'm really satisfied with this reboot, and I'm actually surprised at how faithful it is to the original series. I highly recommend checking the show out if you are a fan of the original show as a kid, and I for one am definitely keen to see Netflix continue and release more episodes.
Step inside, it's a wild ride. Come on, ride on the Magic School Bus.
Thanks very much for watching this episode, and I'll catch you guys on the next episode of whatever I produce next.